Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Noolyn, Abel-Ameh, and my sign language interpreter is Hannah Olainka. Now the headlines. President Tinubu receives Ghanaian counterpart, gets feedback on visits to 3 Sahelian countries. United Nations emphasizes need for comprehensive national strategy to combat growing threat cybercrimes. Plus, hundreds of Sudanese in celebration mood as army recapture Central Khartoum's state institutions. Here is the news. President Bola Tinubu says the interest of the citizens of the 3 Sahelian countries and the security of the sub-region must be taken into account, while ECOWAS continues consideration of a reconnection with the 3 countries that have pulled out of the bloc. The president said this after receiving his Ghanaian counterpart, John Mahama, who recently visited the military leaders of Sahelian countries. State House correspondent Musbah Wahab reports.
President John Dramani Mahama on a visit to the Nigeria's presidential villa for the second time since he was re-elected for his second term as president of Ghana. It was a meeting of 2 long-time friends leading 2 neighboring countries with shared values and long-standing relations. A thank you visit from President Mahama to President Tinubu for his solidarity before and after his election. But then, the deliberation between the 2 leaders behind closed doors was apparently of greater importance to the peace, security, and most significantly, the regional integration of West Africa that is being waned with the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. The Ghanaian president, after his inauguration barely 3 months ago, had visited the 3 dissenting countries.
It's my duty to come and brief him on some of the concerns that were raised there so that we continue to see how to dialogue with those other countries.
Most definitely, sir, the region will be willing to have the 3 Sahelian countries back. Any good news from them?
Well, it's a complicated situation. And it's not as easy as we might think, but we just need to continue to dialogue and see how we can continue to cooperate together.
For the ECOWAS chairman, the consideration of the body is much more than the interests of the leaders in the sub-region, but the social and economic reflections as they affect the citizens of the 3 Sahelian countries.
To have a bridge between the AES countries and the ECOWAS is not a bad idea for us because of the security situation in the Sahel region and what economic opportunity that we must embark to ensure security of life and properties of our citizens. The innocent people in this episode are the citizens of those countries. Not much about us, the leadership. The citizens must be the first, beneficiary and the first part of reasons together.
Yes, thank you. All right. Take care.
This is the 3rd leader from the sub-region to visit the 3 countries after President Faure Singbe of Togo and Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal. The 3 Sahelian states completed their withdrawal from ECOWAS in January, but still within the 6-month ultimatum given by ECOWAS for their reconsideration. And just yesterday, Abel-Ameh has been sworn in as the military president of Niger for a transitional period of 5 years. The reaction of ECOWAS is yet to be seen. From the State House, Musbah Wahab, NTA News.
Thank you, Musbah. In other news, President Bola Tinubu has approved the nomination of 4 new members to the Governing Council of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, filling existing vacancies and strengthening the board's capacity. The approved nominees are Olusegun Omaseyin of the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, and Wole Ogunsoya of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETAN. President Tinubu also endorsed the nomination of Mazi Sam Azoka Onyechi, who represents the Nigerian Content Consultative Forum, NCCF, and Owe Oyambo from the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. The NCDMB Governing Council, established under Section 69 of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010, comprises representatives from key institutions. President Tinubu encourages the new members to leverage on their expertise and dedication to enhance local content development within Nigeria's oil and gas industry. The federal government has declared Monday, March 31 and Tuesday, April 1, 2025 as public holidays to mark Eid al-Fitr. In a statement, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, extends Eid Mubarak wishes on behalf of the government to all and congratulates Muslims on the successful completion of Ramadan and urges them to uphold values of self-discipline, compassion and peace. He calls on Nigerians to use the periods to pray for national unity and prosperity while celebrating responsibly and supporting the less privileged. Now, ahead of his 73rd birthday on Saturday, President Bola Tinubu will join fellow Muslims at the National Mosque in Abuja on Friday for a special prayer session for the nation. He will also use the occasion to thank God for preserving and supporting him in the onerous task of piloting the nation's affairs. President Tinubu's birthday coincides with the month of Ramadan and comes 2 months before his administration's 2nd anniversary. On this significant day, the president will dedicate himself to spiritual reflection and supplication for Nigeria's continued peace, progress and prosperity. President Tinubu invites the public to join the prayer session in spirit by offering prayers at their places of worship or whenever they may be reinforcing a nationwide commitment to unity and shared destiny. The president also expresses profound gratitude to Nigerians for their unwavering support and goodwill as his administration works tirelessly to advance economic reforms, strengthen national security, and expand opportunities for all citizens. Federal government has pledged full support for the 2025 Stockholm Junior Water Prize Competition aimed at fostering innovation in water and environmental management among young Nigerians. Vice President Kashim Shettima, represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, made the commitment during a press conference at the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
This guest visiting the State House to appreciate Nigeria's participation for 28 years in the international competition covering almost 35 countries. This year's competition is most significant given the discussions that resulted from Vice President Kashim Shettima's engagement in Oslo in 2024 and the anticipated visit of the Crown Princess of Sweden later in the year.
Stockholm Junior Water Prize has been around for almost 28 years now.
Represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hadija, the Vice President notes that the competition will get the younger generation between the ages of 15 to 20 acquainted with problems and challenges associated with water at their tender age.
He said it's open, will continue to collaborate with the Swedish Embassy to expand the awareness, to ensure that we get as wide a participation as possible. and which will culminate, of course, in the events leading up to selecting one person from Nigeria that would now participate at the final session sometime in August, I believe.
We encourage schools, teachers and parents to encourage their young ones to submit their ideas and be a part of this important competition that gives global relevance.
The international competition organized by the Stockholm International Water Institute aims at engaging young minds in addressing global water challenges, and it is for secondary and tertiary school students to write projects on water-related issues and how it could be solved. From March 27th to May 2nd, 2025, qualified candidates will be followed by a national final that will take place at the Swedish Embassy in Abuja later in the year. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Nigeria's biodiversity forms the foundation of its natural heritage and human prosperity, but it is experiencing a rapid decline. Unfortunately, biosphere reserves, with the backing of the Ministry of Environment, UNESCO and the Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, offer a promising avenue for implementing sustainable development practices while mitigating biodiversity loss. Charles Salfa investigates.
Biodiversity, many believe, is the living fabric of the planet. It underpins human well-being in the present and the future. Unfortunately, climate change, over-exploitation of natural resources are causing a rapid decline. But here, UNESCO is joining efforts with Nigeria's Man and Biosphere Committee to organize a biosphere reserves for sustainable development with the aim of presenting the Biosphere Reserve Sustainability Development Nexus, ascertain the status of the Yankari Game Reserve, Gashaka Gumti National Park, Okomu National Park, and Kenji National Park under the Nigerian National Park Service.
We are all excited to know that Nigeria has such a very important and rich reserve, and we are also hoping to have more in Nigeria.
Work to foster innovation, sustainable development practices, and also combat biodiversity loss.
It's essential that we prioritize the conservation and sustainable management of this vital ecosystem. By expanding the network of biosphere reserves, we will be achieving strengthening our conservation efforts to protect endangered species.
As at today, Nigeria has 4 biosphere reserves and more than 17 national parks, 3 strict nature reserves and many game reserves. With this site, the country has the potential of having more biosphere reserves to safeguard biodiversity, build resilience to impacts of climate change. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
In other news, the Pan-African Chamber of Culture, Trade and Investment has facilitated an engagement of stakeholders to fashion out ways to boosting Nigeria's non-oil export potential. At a round table in Abuja, the challenges facing smallholder cross-border traders in commodities were discussed. Kelvin Ehunwaye reports.
Unlocking opportunities in the global export market was the focus of the engagement, attended by representatives of key government agencies in the export promotion space. With membership drawn from across the African continent, the Pan-African Chamber of Culture, Trade and Investment is leveraging its wide reach and expertise to help African countries connect more through trade, especially in the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. But more importantly, how to empower players in the sector to overcome the challenges of capital and regulations featured prominently.
Export factoring has emerged as a crucial financial tool that can facilitate trade and investment across borders. It provides businesses with immediate liquidity, mitigate risks associated with international transactions.
Africans just love jumping into things without really knowing how it works. And that is one of our advocacy from the Agenda 2063 Ambassadorial Assembly, to see that people are educated.
The truth is that we must export. It's a deliberate thing. So if you want to export, you can't. It's a function of demand and supply, forex. And the moment you can generate forex through trade, then you are good.
The roundtable is expected to be a periodic engagement of the Pan-African Chamber of Culture, Trade and Investment, focusing on different sectors. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
If you just joined us, this is the news on NTA International. Let's pause here for a break. Stay with us.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Thank you for staying with us. French President Emmanuel Macron, European leaders and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday met at a summit aimed at boosting Ukrainian security ahead of any potential ceasefire with Russia. The meeting is geared towards setting out what security guarantees Europe can offer Ukraine, including the possible deployment of military forces by the coalition of the willing. Comfort Fashion reports.
Thursday's meeting comes after the White House said Russia and Ukraine had agreed on the contours of a possible ceasefire in the Black Sea during parallel talks with US officials in Saudi Arabia. Macron and Starmer have taken the lead in seeking to forge a coordinated European response to protecting Ukraine, both during the current conflict and in its eventual aftermath, after US President Donald Trump shook the world by opening direct negotiations with Russia. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says now is not a time for lifting sanctions against Russia. He told reporters that nations taking part in the coalition of the Willing Summit agreed there should be no easing of sanctions against Vladimir Putin's Russia.
Was uns auch wichtig ist, ist, dass in dieser Zeit
Outgoing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz also echoes remarks by Starmer and Zelensky, saying that it would be a mistake to lift sanctions on Russia.
L'équipe franco-britannique puisse être déléguée dans les prochains jours.
And on security guarantees, Macron says a key aspect of Ukraine's security following a ceasefire deal is a strong and well-equipped army. He says that he and Starmer will give a mandate to their staff to start working with Ukrainian partners to draft a format for the future of its army. The summit was attended by 27 heads of state and government. Comfort, fashion, NTA News.
And elsewhere, more than a dozen fires broke out over the weekend, scorching wide portions of the southeast and forcing around 37,000 people to flee, with the fire cutting off roads and bringing down communications lines as residents escaped in panic. South Korea's Ministry of Interior and Safety said that 27 people had been killed and dozens more injured, with the death toll likely to rise. It is the highest number of deaths since the Korea Forest Service started records for wildfires in 1987. More than 35,000 hectares of forest have been burned, Lee Hyang-hoon, Disaster and Safety Division Chief said, adding that the fire was still spreading rapidly. The extent of damage makes it South Korea's largest ever wildfire after an inferno in April 2000 that scorched 23,913 hectares across the east coast. Authorities said changing wind patterns and dry weather and revealed the limitations conventional firefighting method. However, rain is forecast for Thursday, giving authorities a much-needed window to extinguish the blazes. In Port Sudan, hundreds of Sudanese come out to celebrate the army's retaking of central Khartoum state institutions. Sudan's army chief, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, arrived at Khartoum's recaptured presidential palace, declaring the capital free of the paramilitary rapid support forces after nearly 2 years of war. Comfort Fashion has more.
The atmosphere was filled with jamboree in Port Sudan. This was following the announcement of Sudan's army chief, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the military that they had successfully retaken central Khartoum state institutions. This declaration marked a pivotal moment for Sudan, which has endured nearly 2 years of devastating conflict. The war has resulted in the death of tens of thousands and displaced millions, leaving the nation in a state of turmoil. The army's recapture of key institutions in Khartoum, including the presidential palace and central bank, has bolstered its control over the capital. The army on Wednesday had cleared Khartoum's airport of RSF fighters and, according to an army source, encircled the RSF in its last major stronghold in the Khartoum area just south of the city center. The takeover comes a day after the army was accused of one of the war's deadliest airstrikes, killing dozens in a market in the western region of Darfur. The recapture of Khartoum represents a significant military victory, though the broader conflict remains unresolved. As analysts warned, the war is far from over, with the paramilitary announcing a new rebel alliance in the country's south. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
T. Pompey Concept, a leading private real estate developer in Nigeria, is gearing towards establishing a mega-city project at Gude in Apo, Abuja. Francis Udojo reports that the project, if completed, will complement efforts to reduce the housing deficit in the country.
The Mega City project, initiated by T. Pompey Concept, which has a land map of 500 hectares, is designed to contain over 5,000 housing units of different types, majorly full and semi-detached duplexes. Considering the challenges associated with land ownership, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of T-Pompey Concept, Akintayo Adaralegbe, assured interested clients of affordability as it plans to commence a pre-launch sales promo starting from 31st of March to 17th of April this year.
It's going to be very affordable. We are dealing with low income earner, and we're dealing with an average Nigeria. This is not going to be something that will be too big. I tell you, with as little as just 2.5 million, you can own a plot in our mega city.
The mega city, which will be one of the biggest projects in Abuja, put into consideration a plan for modern infrastructures.
We are planning to have an artificial lake there. We are planning to have an artificial forest there. We are planning to have a polo. We are planning to name it.
Mr. Adaralegbe said he had ensured the acquisition of legal C of O's and necessary documents for prospective clients.
This land comes with title, with C of O title. We are not dealing with R of O or any other thing. It's an FCDA title. We don't want to go in contrary to government plans towards the place. We will plan according to government's laid down rule, but we're going to bring an innovation to the mega city.
T-Pompey Concept, which started in Lugbe over 9 years ago, the management said can now boast of about 70 estates in Abuja and now spreading nationwide, with its presence presently in Oyo, Kwara, and Ogun states. In the meantime, T-Pompey is expected to have a groundbreaking ceremony for the Abuja mega city at Apo in November this year. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
In a bid to eradicate cyber crimes at all levels in Nigeria, the United Nations has stressed the need for stakeholders to join the UN Convention. UN emphasizes the need for a comprehensive and robust national strategy to combat the growing threat. Framapai reports.
During a high-level briefing delivered by UN cybersecurity experts, a detailed analysis of the evolving cybercrime landscape, highlighting its vulnerability and the urgent need for action, was presented. To support the Nigerian government in combating the ugly menace, UNODC, with support from the United States Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, is implementing a project to map the cybercrime response landscape, which so far has revealed the strengths and areas of improvement within the criminal justice sector.
We are currently developing a program to ensure that with Nigeria, we are in phase to use cybercrime strategy and the cybercrime law as a catalytic to develop impactful activities to protect the Nigerian citizen, but more so the youth against cybercrime.
There was an 11-chapter presentation by the UN Cybersecurity Coordinator on what the UN Convention seeks to achieve in the fight against cybersecurity, and law enforcement agencies and other concerned members from various ministries and parastatals welcomed the idea, saying the convention is a step in the right direction.
One thing about cybercrime is that it's a borderless crime, and it's not a crime that one country can actually fight. We'll need that close collaboration with other countries and NGOs, for us to be able to navigate in the fight against cybercrime.
The Nigerian government is committed to ensuring that the legal framework is aligned with the regional and international.
Thank you so much for watching. I am Noolyn Abel-Ameh, and my sign language interpreter has been Hannah Olainka. Bye for now.